Hey everybody, welcome to the first video in our Souls Kiro Born Ring series. Yes, that is what we're calling it. Today we're going to be starting off with the game that introduced many of us to this fantastic series. Before I start, I just want to clarify that this ranking is completely subjective, and I would be extremely interested in hearing all of your rankings in the comment section below. So without further ado, let's get straight off with the easiest boss in Souls. Kicking off this list at last place, we have quite possibly the easiest boss in this entire series, Pinwheel. The main problem with Pinwheel as a boss is he's just an absolute pushover whenever you decide to pay him a visit. The only metric of challenge you'll probably deal with are avoiding the skeleton wheels on the run back, which there's no denying are without doubt the most infuriating enemies in the game. So, to sum up my thoughts, Pinwheel is a complete fucking joke in terms of difficulty, but everything else from lore to arena design and overall aesthetics is extremely memorable. I honestly can't think of anyone who gave me this much of a rush when beating on my first playthrough, and that's for good reason, because this guy will absolutely destroy you until you get good enough to leave the asylum. I love this fight for so many different reasons, from music to lore and the overall spectacle, but truly what makes this fight so iconic is how it teaches you to fight bosses. This is something that was lost with future entries because Asylum Demon proves that the first boss of your game doesn't have to be this big brick wall you have to smash yourself into. Just a small obstacle that teaches the player everything they need to know and gets them hooked on the overall experience. I've seen this guy get a lot of hate from the Dark Souls community, and I kind of see it. Yes, this can be an extremely dull fight, it's true, but by no metric do I feel comfortable calling it bad. The Taurus Demon is an actually incredibly effective tool at teaching the player to be aware of their surroundings, because if you don't, you'll either get hard scoped by the archers or bonked off the side by Tauros. So taking this at face value, this is a slightly underwhelming fight, but when you boil it down, this big boy has a lot more going on here than people give him credit for. I honestly don't even really know what to say about this queen, because this might just be the most forgettable fight in this entire game. To give the boss some credit, I do love everything, to the aesthetics, to the design, and even some of the cool gimmicks like her turning invisible. But to be honest, that mechanic is really just her delaying her inevitable demise. Please let me know what you guys think about Priscilla in the comments section, because I feel like there's something here I'm just not seeing, or maybe I killed her too quick to see it. I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that this is without doubt the most boring fight in this entire game. All this is a waiting game. Gwendolyn will snipe you across the arena with spells and archery, and the way you avoid this is by hiding behind pillars. No, it's really that simple. Which is unfortunate, because the lore behind this guy is really interesting, and I love the premise of the fight, it's just poorly executed. Thankfully, it's not as bad as the other boss in this game that shares the same design philosophy, but it's unfortunate that the Son of Gwyn was such a letdown. I have one big question to ask you about the Gaping Dragon. Did you kill this guy? Because if you didn't, then you just made this hungry dragon 10 times more difficult. Now I'm gonna go off my experience as a magic user, and it went something like this. All I did was spam him with soul arrows until he died in 5 minutes. Now maybe as a melee user this would be more difficult because the damage this dragon does is absolutely insane, but I can only go off my experience, and despite the really cool design, I just found this entire battle severely lackluster. Me and my buddies had quite a good time with the Lord That Tumbles because this boss has a very unique gimmick. You can make him commit suicide. What I love about the Iron Golem is how fun he is to fight. He has a variety of projectiles and heavy blows up his sleeve, which can make engaging him head on extremely difficult. And the overall spectacle of fighting him on top of one of the most grueling areas in the series is nerve-wracking. But as long as you summon your inner lord, I'm sure you'll have fun sending this Colossus tumbling to his doom. Remember how we just talked about how amazing the Asylum Demon is as a tutorial boss? Well, let's travel 35 hours later and fight a fiery reskin of the same boss. I have no idea what the thought process was for the Lost Izalith, because this place is home to some of the worst bosses of DS1. So yeah, Fire Sage is essentially the exact same boss as Asylum with almost no difference. The only one I can think of is a Fireball AoE projectile, but yeah, let's just rush past this guy. He's boring, lazy, and absolutely infuriating to fight against for the insane damage he deals at lackluster quality. Another shitty reskin! How many are there in this game? Well, 2, but this one is slightly better than Fire Sage. For starters, you see this guy at the beginning of the game in his dungeon, which is really cool foreshadowing. Unfortunately, what isn't so cool is that this guy does basically everything the same as Fire Sage and even has the exact same character model of Asylum. It's that fucking lazy. It's honestly a shame, because maybe with slightly more creative vision, there could have been something really special down here, but oh well. Finally, a great boss battle, because Great Wall Sith is an absolutely tremendous fight. But it also sucks, because killing a dog is never fun. No fight in this series will tug at your heartstrings like Sith, because this Grey Wolf will bring you to tears. It gets even worse in the last phase, because you'll see him limping around, which reminded me of some really bad experiences from my childhood. Which I really appreciate, because a fight that can make me feel that kind of emotion should be commended. To be honest, the boss isn't really that difficult, it's just the emotional weight that makes it harder than it was probably intended to be. Definitely one of my favourites in the game. And another shitty Lost Izalith boss. Well, definitely the best out of the 4, because the Centipede Demon at least has some good ideas. For example, you can cut off the Centipede's various limbs and fight them like the butcher you are. I mean, hell, the boss even fell under the map in my first attempt, which resulted me to using a homeward bone and fighting him all over again. If I can give any credit, I love the design of fighting the boss in a lake of fire, and the overall aesthetics of the Centipede is really cool. But the boss is just a prime example of a great concept, but very poor execution. I wish that I recorded me and my brother's reactions to this fight, because goddamn! All jokes aside, this fight is actually extremely simple and basic to an almost disappointing level. Now to be fair, I did use a magic build for this fight and sniped her, which was probably not the best way to engage with a fight like this. But even melee players like my brother said she wasn't all that interesting or menacing to fight at all. Every one of her attacks are extremely telegraphed, and if you want to fight her head on, you can just strafe to her side and avoid all of her attacks. So even though we love this majestic creature's design, we can't deny that she is an incredibly boring boss battle. Oh god, this guy is absolutely disgusting. Seriously, this guy actually killed me on my first attempt because I was too busy analysing this monstrosity before me. My main issue with this boss is that he's just not that fun to fight. Every time I entered the arena, he would always stop at this awkward narrow walkway which had a tree and rock in front, so I couldn't even see what he was doing for half the time. This made dodging his attacks extremely frustrating and questionably bullshit actually. But to be fair, I love the aesthetics of the fight and the lore behind it is some of my favourite in the entire game. I just wish this fight was as engaging as its fantastic lore. Oh my god, this run back. No joke, if you want to reach the Four Kings, you first have to take an elevator from Firelink Shrine and run all the way through New Londo Ruins just to fight this guy, which will be a 3-minute run back each time guaranteed. Thankfully, this shouldn't be too much of an issue because the Four Kings can be a pushover depending on when you fight him. Because after a period of time, regardless if you killed the previous king, a new king will spawn in and keep relentlessly pushing you until you die. This either makes this fight a grueling DPS check or a laughable pushover, and for me, personally, it was a bit of both. Thanks to everyone who went on this journey through Lordran with me. I have some very interesting ideas for videos in the future revolving not just Dark Souls but all kinds of video games in the future. So if that sounds interesting, please leave a like, comment and subscribe for more future content. Anyway guys, stay humble and keep conquering life's greatest challenges. I'll see you in the next video. Have a fantastic day.